I won't make you sit there.
Yay! Can you see us just like sitting there?
I can see you. No one else can, but I can.
This intense lag is purely for your benefit.
Yes.
It's
mostly just to make sure that StreamYard catches up because it takes a second to like actually go live.
That'll do it.
And it's hard to say exactly when it happens. So I give it a couple of seconds usually. Or if Kellen goes to take a drink.
I was just staring at my drink. I was like, no, I'm going to wait.
Don't do it. It's a trap.
I'm gonna wait.
It's a trap.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Kellen. Hello, Brad.
Hello.
Caroline, Brad. We all were out last week. Brad, you were traveling.
I did.
Doing government bullshit, as you continue to say, despite everybody saying, so what are you doing? He's like, government bullshit.
I had a very important meeting at the U.S. consulate way too early in the morning to make the 5-hour drive for government bullshit for the child.
For the child who is a dual citizen.
Well, he is now officially, yes.
Of where and where?
U.S. and Canada.
Oh, okay.
My wife is from the States, but he was born here, so we just had to do paperwork nonsense. So we finally bothered getting to it, basically. Because government bullshit is a pain in the ass.
It is.
So we just hadn't gotten to it. But it was time.
Sorry.
It's nice to have an exit plan.
Carrie's on.
Hi, Carrie. Carrie was in Chicago last week. Too busy to come see her friend Kellen, though. No, she wasn't too busy. She was out in she was like out by O'Hare and like couldn't even come into the city for a second. So it's all good.
I've been trying to think of a reason to go to Chicago. We have an office there. You'd think that'd be a reason, but like, not really. It hasn't come up.
It's all right.
Hopefully, Pokemon will have Go Fest actually in Chicago again at some point.
I bet that would be fun.
Go Fest is so fun.
It's an absolute blast in town because it's just a bunch of people who are around and.
Clearly I remember playing Pokemon in bars after the event closes for the day.
Well, I mean,
we would go to this one bar that had this perfect trifecta of Pokestops on it, and we just lit them up and just drank.
Just ran. There are a lot of people who play in Chicago, and like I remember for the first year, you could just walk around and see people on their phone, and you'd be like, "Hey, you trying to catch them all?" And they would be like, "Yes, I am."
Oh, New York was like that too. Yeah. There is a corner. So Central Park for you. This corner, actually either southern corner, either Columbus Circle or I forget what it's called, the other corner, were just people just constantly playing. And the fun thing about going there and just there were lures everywhere. You could just walk in a circle.
Oh yeah.
But then the best part would be like somebody would have some sort of specific Pokemon tracking app up because especially in the beginning, Niantic hadn't like locked down their code as well. So there were a lot of people mining the code to get like flags of this spawned over here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So something good would happen. The point people for each group who were tracking would be like, oh shit, it's this. And the whole place would migrate like a flood. And I never knew what it was. You just went. It was fun. I got my first Snorlax that way.
Aww.
Nice.
Everyone remembers their first Snorlax.
I probably trashed him afterwards. I forgot him real fast. I remember the feeling.
Yeah, just rude.
I think he had like 400 like attack, like CP. No, not at all. It was terrible.
Snorlax. Come on.
No, but he should be in the like couple thousand. Like he should. Yeah. He's more of a tank than he is like he takes hits.
Yeah, he does.
But he still has like significant combat power.
He's a true tank in the sense where he should be taking and pulling focus that way, so you can have Greninja in the back throwing.
Yeah.
We were supposed to talk about horror, but I think
I have a perfect Greninja, y'all.
If you want to talk about combining video games and exercise, you two are on your own. That's fine.
I keep saying hatched from. You can walk eggs that hatch into Pokemon. I hatched a perfect Froakie, perfect stats. So that's going to be my perfect Greninja. and I'm very excited about it.
It's gonna be great.
I have a perfect Dragonite, but I don't have a perfect T-Tar, and I'm really annoyed.
How do you sleep at night?
Not well. Sorry, I am aware that my voice sounds like it's made of gravel. I can't control it. Sorry.
Caroline, is that like a seasonal allergy thing, or is that
no?
Just too much screaming this week? Yeah.
No.
So stop screaming at people. Jeez. Save your voice.
It is a intoxication thing.
I don't know what that's like at all.
No idea. Just having my black milk with you all.
Delicious.
It's the black water that the Real Housewives in New Jersey launched.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It was water, but it was
black. Why, though?
They thought this is what elegance is, make it black.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Like me, I've got my Halloween nails and I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Nice.
And your hair is looking spectacular as always.
Oh, thank you. I washed it.
Oh.
You've got me beat.
I wash my hair once a week and today.
There we go.
The rest of the time.
It's good when it lines up like that.
Mm-hmm. So when you bleach your whole head, it dries your hair out enough that you can do that, first of all.
Sure.
And then secondarily, I know strategically, like, you start off just like you comb through it. You can restyle it if you need to. Then as you go forward, you start using dry shampoo. Mm-hmm. And then like the last day, you just throw it in a ponytail.
There you go.
That's how you stretch it.
Dry shampoo doesn't really work on curly hair. It really, my hair, it retains the oil very, very well. It's the reason why it's got the curl on it. But I've tried dry shampoo before, and it just like sort of fades right off of it. This is nothing in my hair.
You're supposed to do it in the root lines. So like, you would create a part, and then you would like spray in there and like muss
problem
it up.
Solved.
Yeah, problem solved. Yeah, and suddenly I'm a Dickens character.
Vaguely alfalfa-y. I don't know why, but that's what came to. Every time I see a man with a middle part, it's like, is that alfalfa?
Alfalfa.
Weirdly, I remember the front of his hair.
Yes.
Of all things.
Y'all, we are going to talk about.
I wasn't going to say anything.
The whole stream. Every stream is just, I talk, Kellen laughs, Kellen directs, I yell things. Kellen laughs and Brad
This is my preferred way to do anything, is I get to sit and
Your
watch.
Preferred
but
way
I still
to interact
get to
with
make
people.
Jokes. So it's perfect.
I think, no, okay. So dry shampoo is not just head deodorant. It's like, because deodorant doesn't actually, you're thinking like to an extent it has like a powdery, but a pure deodorant doesn't stop you from sweating at all. It theoretically, like, it just is scent related. There probably are antiperspirants that act in a similar form. Like I know, I believe baby powder is traditionally both dry shampoo and either deodorant or antiperspirant. I think it can be used. It can be used. Yeah. So you could use baby powder. Some women, originally that's what they used.
I always feel like antiperspirant was like aluminum, and it like would go into your body and like prevent you from sweating.
It is. Yeah.
No. Baby powder can be used from some of them chemical antiperspirants, but there are physical ones too, which is what is being mentioned here, where it would just soak it up and like dry it out, because naturally that's what it does.
Yes.
To wick
away the moisture.
I do. Unfortunately, that doesn't work so good.
I did not know this until I became friends with him on Discord, and then suddenly it was like,
it's just nothing but gifts.
Really good at this.
It's the best way.
GIF and meme game.
Oh yeah, the meme game. Brad's meme game is stellar. It's absolutely stellar.
I won't stand for these verbal attacks. Are we going to talk about horror stuff or what?
I do. I'm going to talk about horror movies and horror TV shows.
Brad, you look nice today. Brad, I will not stand.
I won't kick you off the stream. I'll kick myself off the stream.
I'm going home. Yes.
I'm all.
Brad, I finally watched the show that I turned you on to. I finally watched all of Black Mass.
Midnight
We
Mass.
talk about Black Mass, but Caroline hasn't watched
Mass,
Black Mass yet.
You're the person who's bad at titles. It's not me. It's you.
It's Midnight Mass. It's Midnight Mass, not Black Mass.
So this proves that the sweet tooth thing was definitely
it's 100% me. It's
not my fault.
I never thought it was your fault. I 100% own that it was my fault. Midnight Mass. Black Mass is a horror.
Sounds like an anime.
Gangster
and it also is an anime as well. Yeah.
Sounds like an anime. Vaguely reminds me of Bible Black, which is technically an anime.
Yes. Brad, do you want to talk about Thirsty Priest and Thirsty Sheriff Midnight Mass Netflix show?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Caroline hasn't watched it yet, I don't think. So
Yeah, she hasn't.
That's okay.
Shame.
Caroline.
I've finally started Squid Game. Like, I'm very behind.
I haven't watched that.
No.
I hear it's good.
It's this will pivot into horror, but it's the epitome of the type of thing I would normally like. But I also tend to hate media in the moment it is being hyped.
Yeah.
So like I needed some time because I'm kind of snooty and shitty. It's the reason I haven't read Naruto. Anyway.
I'm the same way, Caroline, when everyone's like, oh, have you watched Squid Game? I'm like, a bunch of people I don't like this show. There's no way I'm...
Do you know how long it took me to watch Tiger King? And it's legitimately great. Like, I'm glad I watched it. It took me so long.
I remember reading about Tiger King like 2 years before the show came out. So I wasn't like I was snooty. I was like, I already know how this show ends. I know what happens.
There's a Primink video that came out on Primink on YouTube. Who's I really like him. He makes really good long form stuff.
Yeah.
He did a video on Joe Exotic. Yeah. And like it was amazing.
I had heard about Joe Exotic from the guys from Last Podcast on the Left. They were talking about Joe Exotic as it was happening. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So Midnight Mass.
Brad,
what did you like about it?
You've been wanting to talk about this, so please
just talk about it, man.
Brad, everyone is welcome in the church. Everyone is welcome.
Everyone is welcome unless you like don't want the church in the school, then you're not welcome.
Yes.
Or if you like mind murdering people that annoy you, you're not welcome. The church is very aggressive.
The church is very, very
in Midnight Mass. Yes. Very, very aggressive. Well, I mean, a couple of members particularly. Very small town, so most of the church, but it's very. I liked that show. It was very show. Well made. It gave me weird church flashbacks a few times about some hymns that I definitely don't like remember learning, but
they're here. They're burned in here, right?
It's been like 25 years, so I don't know why it's still in there, but the songs are still there kicking around somewhere, which was weird. But yeah, very well made. It annoyed me that they didn't say the word, that they avoid using the entire season.
Yeah, I liked that though. I liked that they didn't say the word. They didn't.
The word Satan?
No.
Okay.
No. So Caroline, do you know anything about Midnight Mass? Do you know what the premise is?
There's a hot priest.
There's a very hot priest. So here's the pitch, I guess.
Do they have church at midnight?
They eventually
one time
they eventually start having to have church at midnight because there might be people in this town who are connected to this church who don't want to go out in daylight.
Okay.
Now,
so that's it. It's just
it kind of.
But they avoid daylight. They might enjoy.
Oh, so it's not
the scent and flavor,
or is it up front? How blatant is it?
The first 3 episodes, what I love about the show is it's slow. That first episode, there is nothing spooky beyond we're going to talk about church a lot, and we're going to focus on the Eucharist a lot, and we're just going to be doing a lot of hymns, and you're like, holy shit, you know?
Is it well revealed? I
think it's extremely well revealed. Yeah. I mean,
it's very well done.
Within the first episode, I'm like, yeah, I get what this is going to be about, but I really loved it. Like they slow burn it. I think the characters who you are supposed to dislike, they do a great job of making you dislike them for the right reasons. It's a really well done show. The first 2 episodes, I think, are really beautiful. The first episode, there's all these great Neil Diamond songs in it that have like really great montages. It's really odd.
It's very strange.
Maybe Zack Snyder came by every once in a while.
Lauren asks, where can one watch this show? Lauren, if you have, it's a small little streaming platform. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's called Netflix.
Kellen got me onto it.
The Netflix? Yeah.
Very obscure.
Very obscure.
Yeah, no, that premise, as an immediate reaction, I'm like, I'm bored. Like, it's like, why would I watch this instead of just watching Castlevania again?
It is, I think it's more, the idea is, what happens if the church wasn't going to say the word we're not going to say? And the church believed that instead of being a thing that they were, they thought they were dealing with angels. And you start to take this concept of what happens when you become a thing we're not going to say, and you put that in the concept of Jesus and resurrection and a second life. And it really twists a lot of very clear Catholic stuff. And it really, like, there are some characters in it who they're talking about Catholicism, they're talking about death, and they're talking about what the Bible is supposed to say. And you're like, holy fuck, this lines up really, really well. And you can see how people in a small town with not a lot of hope and just faith to rely on, how they could fully go into it. And then you have this hot priest who kind of believes he's going to start, like, essentially like a crusade. And then he himself, there's a lot of talking about, like, crisis of faith. And there's a lot of, like, who's really in charge. Like, there's the priest, and then there's the acolytes, and then there's the second people. I think it's so well done.
It's very well done. Especially, like, just essentially the creature is an excuse for the church to be really shitty.
Yeah.
Like, the church is the actual antagonist of the series.
The
creature is just there.
Yeah. The creature is not the bad guy. The creature is not the monster. The church is the monster.
Okay.
And it's what happens, when you get a couple of true believers and they're sort of just slightly mistaken about something.
Yeah. You know what it makes me think of in a similar way? Preacher.
Yeah.
Feels kind of in line with Preacher.
There are elements of Preacher in this. It's clear that whoever wrote this probably read Preacher and then was influenced by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Which I really enjoyed, I will say. I really enjoyed Preacher.
It was great.
I have read it and watched it, and I will probably read it again soon.
Yeah, it's a great read. Yeah, that last episode, Brad, we won't get into it until maybe later. But that last episode, like, it fucks with you. Like the way in which people feel justified in their choices and how everything goes down. It is really, really well done.
It is very much filled with justifications for religious trauma playing out in a horror creature situation in a very interesting way.
And when they flip the horror switch, it's flipped. What I love about this show is it's like, it is slow, and then when it goes to horror, the tone shifts so quickly. It feels so earned because they've done all this great character buildup, so that when things speed up, so that when it really becomes the horror movie that it is, it feels really justified, as opposed to, like, kind of peaking with its horror stuff and then, like, kind of going down. It's like the thing I really like about it, Caroline, is it's a lot of, like, quiet monologues. It's a lot of, like, scenes where it's just two people in a room having a long conversation. And I sometimes forgot the reason I was taking my time is, I'm like, I don't want this to get horror yet. I'm really enjoying this character drama, knowing that there is in fact insidious things happening in the background, because I was loving the acting, I was loving characters and everything else that was going on. It was great.
It snowballs very well. It starts slow, but every episode builds faster and faster and faster until the last couple. It's just nonstop.
Yeah, it's absolutely nonstop.
It's good times.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's on my queue.
Get in the queue. Well, we said we were going to bring up our 3 favorite horror movies, but then you also brought up a really great idea about like talking about panned movies, like movies that are like horror movies that people think are terrible.
As I was thinking through this list, I realized there are a lot of mine. There are ones that I had a visceral reaction to, but it was like a contained, I understand I am a person watching a film type of reaction versus the ones that just like make me happy.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And those are all the ones that are shit. The ones that make me happy are the ones nobody else likes.
Okay. Let's hear about those.
I keep, for my serious ones, I guess we're talking about the pan ones. The ones
Let's talk about the serious ones later. Let's talk about the bad stuff, the stuff we love, the crunchy, gross stuff.
Yeah. So I will die on this hill 1,000 times. The original Resident Evil.
Oh yeah,
that's a fun one. Yeah.
I love it.
It's dumb as hell. It's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
And like, yes, I played the games, and I still thought it was awesome. Like, that mansion made no fucking sense. I don't care about these small changes.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things that will viscerally always stay with me, and they're not even necessarily horror elements. Like in the intro, when they just show the hive as it's happening, right? And when it shows like the guy coming in and looking out the window, and how the window has like fake city noises coming from it. And it has the sun coming in at a certain angle. So it's just to trick your brain so that it's basically to make people psychologically better able to handle the fact that they are underground all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that there is like a sense of loneliness and like isolation and constraint and like fear, but also comfort in like, I just pictured being there in that moment. Like if no one else is around, but I was looking at this thing and it's like, oh no, you're underground. And it just hit me the right way and the right time, I don't know. But like, there's a lot of stuff like that I will always, like when that zombie turns around, that first zombie they show you. If you look back on that now, it looks pretty ass, but like at the time, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
So incredibly scary. So like there's so much of that. And I really liked it. I stand by that. And then the other one, I don't even think it's controversial, is Doom.
I love Doom.
Fucking
I love Doom.
But people did not love Doom, apparently. Dune was fine.
Said no matter what Mikey says, you're allowed to like Doom.
He broke my heart. He broke my heart. I could not watch movies with Mikey anymore. It ruined the relationship.
It's a real shame. Seems like a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
He really does. And his friends seem super cool until they didn't like Doom. They like everything. They like Green Lantern. They like everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't like Doom.
No.
I was so excited for that one. You don't understand. I was so
heartbreaking.
So let's talk about Doom and why do you like it? Is it the beefiness of the Rock's neck?
That has always scared me.
The Rock's neck
is too beefy.
It's too much. And it's a trapezoid.
It's not human.
It's not like it should be like that. And it's like, brr, like terrifying. It's a comedy. Like it's treated like an action. It's like an action horror that I always thought was neat. I like the dialogue because like a lot of it is campy and stupid in a way that feels self-aware. Yeah. And I could be being generous, but like the one guy's name was Pinky and he turned it like they knew what they were doing, like they knew what they were doing. The first person section was like what sealed it as like, oh my God, this is amazing. But just like the whole thing, like there's this undercurrent of like techno-y early 2000s like music that's just undercurrenting everything. Like there's no like quiet tension virtually at all. It's like Blade. Like it's just got that high paced action, brutal intensity that just gets kind of, because I really don't like slashers and like body horror as a, my favorite horror film is The Thing, so that's not. I don't like it, but
but you like it when it's good.
When it's really good.
Yeah,
sure.
But just like I don't like Texas Chainsaw Massacre for that reason. But what makes me dislike it more and more is how realistic it is. And that's the thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's like a flat shot while God like stabs a girl. I'm like, this is no, please.
Well, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, I think you have to kind of almost look at it like a found footage film, right? Like when you think about,
I don't think it's bad. It is upsetting to me.
Because it's so real.
Yeah, I'm saying that's like the epitome of like what makes me most uncomfortable because of how hyper realistic it is.
Yeah.
But in Doom, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So
it's just fun. It's just fun. And also like, this was the first thing of Carl Urban's that I liked without realizing who Carl Urban was or was going to be. Just like how hammy it is. Like his name is Reaper. Come on. It's like the game. Like, and it doesn't matter that like what the deal is with Doom the game and how it didn't like the essence translated. It doesn't matter if the bad guy is demons or like genetics. I don't know. Like irrelevant. Mildly relevant to the success of the story. So I love Doom. So those are the two. There are movies. So potentially hot take. The Ward isn't that bad.
The Ward? I don't think I know The Ward.
I'm not sure I do either.
Look up who made The Ward.
Amber Heard?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
who directed The Ward?
This. Wait, Carpenter directed The Ward?
Carpenter directed The Ward. It is widely regarded to be, I think, his worst film, potentially. Like a lot of people say that.
Oh, we gotta watch this trailer.
I very much enjoy The Ward.
I
liked it.
Now.
Let's do it.
I got it right here, Brad. Let me see if I can. Give me a full screen. Share screen. Share that video. Boom.
There we go.
Arc Entertainment. You know it's good. Ooh. I love a trailer that has
whatever this is.
Half the trailer is just.
I love the energy.
Logos.
Oh man, it's like I'm at the movie theater.
Exactly.
What's the first thing you remember? Fire.
What's your name? Kristen.
Welcome to the Ward, your new home.
Why am I here?
You can't get them to tell you anything. Sometimes they take people away, but they don't come back. If I were you, I'd watch out, new girl.
There's a ghost in here.
I'm sure you believe you saw what you say.
I'm not crazy.
She's the last one that got out. She was one of us, but she's gone now. And now she's going to kill us all.
What the fuck is this movie?
Not to deal with them.
We have to get out of here.
wasn't so bad, was it?
John Carpenter's The Ward. Wow.
He's so shitty looking.
What's the first thing you remember?
Wow.
I definitely haven't seen that.
It's probably on Netflix. It was on Netflix. I don't know. It's a good chance. It's Carpenter did really well in the 80s, and then I think it's understood that like since then, or like after a certain point, he just and like it all went to trash.
Well, so. I've heard interviews with Carpenter where he really talks about it's like horror films are not supposed to be big budget movies, and he talks a lot about Cronenberg, like a buddy of his.
Yeah.
Who's like, yeah, Cronenberg became an artist. And he's like, there's a great interview where he's like smoking 3 cigarettes. And he's like, yeah, I was at a party and Cronenberg was talking about being an artist. And I just said, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. And like that, and then he was like, great. He just started making shitty movies like this because it's like, that's what he wanted to do. Like he didn't want to make these giant movies. It's like, Carpenter's such a great example of someone as a director who's like, oh, we lost our guy who's going to do our soundtrack. Fuck it, I'll do it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And then he makes Halloween, which has such an incredible soundtrack. I love Carpenter's movies. He's so great.
Was Halloween the one that he actually didn't do? He hired someone to do it. No, maybe it was something later.
No, he did Halloween soundtrack. He did Halloween.
Yeah. I also am not a fan of Halloween. It's boring. It's dumb.
It is very boring. Halloween's a great movie to watch in a theater with a bunch of people who've seen Halloween because then it becomes Rocky Horror. Like then it's actually really enjoyable. But like if you're just gonna sit at home and watch Halloween, it's a snooze fest because it's so slow. And one of the characters is also in one of my favorite films, Rock and Roll High School, and I always get taken out because I'm like, hey, you're in Rock and Roll High School. You're hanging out with Johnny Ramone and you're also in Halloween. This doesn't make any sense.
That definitely just unlocked memories of the existence of Rock and Roll High School.
Rock and Roll High School is such an amazing movie. Rock and Roll High School is up there in my top 5 movies in terms of like, am I in a bad mood? I'm going to watch Rock and Roll High School because there's no time where I watch Rock and Roll High School and I'm not in a good mood afterwards.
I have not seen it.
Here's the premise of Rock and Roll High School. What if there was a high school where the Ramones took over and became the principal of the high school?
Okay, that's awesome.
The Rock and Roll High School is essentially Hard Day's Night for the Ramones. It is a Ramones themed movie about a high school and about a girl named Rizzo who loves the Ramones and wants the Ramones to come there. And it's slapstick. It's so over the top. It's essentially, it's up there with like Airplane and
okay.
It's so out there. Ron Howard's brother is like one of the main characters in the movie. It's so fucking funny. It's really, really dumb. It would never, ever be made again, but it's the Ramones. The Ramones are there, and it's just them playing Ramones songs, and then Devo shows up. It's great. It's so campy and good. It makes me so happy.
I had completely forgotten.
Yeah, most people will think about Rock and Roll High School, and they just be like, and we're just going to put that in the back.
You're done.
You're done.
You're done. Those are some of my like very panned ones that are still favorites. What about you, gentlemen? You were also talking about other things, horror beyond movies.
What are you talking about? TV? I think there's a great horror TV that's out there. We talk about literature. I think, like again, we're talking about Ito in terms of talking about like manga and comics. Like I think Lock and Key is really great in terms of a good comic. Like. I would love to talk about like Stephen King, how we feel about Stephen King as a writer. Like is he a good writer or does he just enjoy the taste of cocaine?
Hey, there's probably not everyone can do both.
No, that's a great point.
Also, he was hit by a car.
He was. So, he was hit. He was a victim.
I am confused. I went through the Stephen King phase with books, right?
As everyone does.
Everyone does. I did mine probably way later. I did it in my 20s. And ended with, of course, the Dark Tower series.
Yes.
He's his commonly understood magnum opus.
Yes.
And he's self-inserted.
Yeah, it's really funny, right?
Dude, this is not Archive of Our Own. This is not fanfiction.net. You please don't self-insert into your...
All it does is it proves that all those Archive of Your Own people could be famous authors.
They could be.
No. I just, and then have as I recall, a child die instead of you getting hit by a car or something, or like, dude.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, it's such a great movie," and then you read it, and then you're like,
"It is fucked up."
It is fucked up, and then you think about who greenlit this book. Who said, "You know what we need? We need this book and all of its weird child orgy shit."
So I was gonna say the only thing I remember being fucked up was the literal gangbang.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it was.
Let's call it what it is. A gangbang at the end of the movie.
Literal child.
Yes.
Like young child.
A young kid who then, the only one who is queer, happens to get murdered afterwards.
Right.
Really interesting point there, Stephen King. Really interesting. What's the message here?
She had friendship or whatever, but then she grew up to let her boyfriend beat on her and call her all these horrible things, because she's got crippled self-esteem or something for some reason.
Yeah.
Confusing.
And that's when people are like, "Oh, I love Pennywise," and I'm like, you don't know what the source material is.
No, you love Tim Curry, and that's valid.
And that's fine.
We support it.
We stand Tim Curry, but there's better Tim Curry out there as well. I'd rather have Rocky Horror up there rather than if I want peak Tim Curry, I want Clue. I was
going to say it's Clue. He's so good. Horror. God, he's so good in Clue.
He's so good in Clue. He's so good.
We're not talking about horror.
No. I want to talk about this movie is really divisive, so I want to ask you all. Event Horizon.
I liked it.
Event Horizon.
I have positive memories, but then I went to watch the review from Red Letter Media, and I was surprised when they were like, "This shit sucked." I was like, "Oh no, did it?" I thought people liked Event Horizon. Am I insane?
No, I like it too, but it is panned. It's absolutely panned in terms of being divisive and in terms of being like, this movie sucks. And I was like, this movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, and I still watch it and I love it.
Yeah.
I remember enjoying it. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember
it's got it's that, I don't know how to describe it. The Matrix did it. Event Horizon did it. It's an aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
That was very popular at that time when those movies came out.
I believe his name is Lawrence Fishburne.
I don't know. What do you call it? It's like rock opera-y.
It is a little rock opera.
It's techno rock opera.
No.
It's this undercurrent of techno music, and everything's black and everything's hard lines, and the ship design, the whole thing. So it's hard to be scary. It's just so extreme.
Oh, it's extreme to the max. Extreme with 3 X's.
And what's his name? The main actor, Sam?
Sam.
Liz? No. Who?
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill. I mean, I was introduced to Sam Neill at Jurassic Park. This was a jump. It's just great. Just it was an experience. I thought it was fantastic. And it was basically Eldritch horror with that techno rock opera dress on. But it was Eldritch, right? It functionally was. going through dimensions and hell, it's like some Hellraiser shit. But fear of the unknown and like the infinite, possibilities and unrest and all that, just, I understand why they thought it was cool, because I too think that it is cool.
I still think it is cool, right? I think space horror, that's why I like Alien. Like, I like all Alien movies. I even like Alien 3.
See,
I even like Alien 3. And
I
Alien
don't like the claustro. I have like if you're in space, you're trapped. If you're
no one can hear you scream, I think.
And also, well, it's like anywhere where if I go out the wrong door, I die. You know what I mean? Like those high stress situations always, I don't like it, but then I'm like, is that good? Because then I'm more
you're in
primed. Yeah. But like same thing, like a movie that I don't think of fondly, but it genuinely made me very, very scared for a long time was Sphere.
Oh yeah, Sphere is weird as fuck.
And like scary. Oh my God, Squid. Ugh. The squid death was no. She goes out, all these squids. She's like walking somewhere. They're underwater, for those who maybe didn't see that. They're in like a Sea Lab 2021 something. They're in there. And she needed to walk. It's the same thing. It's like a space
now
station.
I need it. Suddenly the Sphere not scary to me anymore. Suddenly the Sphere so funny.
But there were all these like squids, and she was like, "Oh, weird. They're friendly today." And they just like attacked her and like went up her nose and like broke her faceplate, killing. You know what I mean? Like just like terrifying. The isolation, and there's just a lot of anxiety and fear for space station, submarine, Sea Lab, any of that, where it's like you turned the wrong way and now you died. I very much don't like any of that.
Do you feel the same way about The Abyss?
I didn't see The Abyss.
Claustrophobic in the other direction.
It's claustrophobic in the other direction. I mean, it's similar in terms of they're down underwater. Like, there wouldn't be the Sphere if it wasn't for The Abyss, right? Like, The Abyss, I know the Sphere was written by Michael Crichton, I believe, right?
If only we had the internet.
Michael Crichton, based on Michael Crichton, yeah. Yeah, The Abyss is similar. It's like, all right, we're gonna go down underwater, and we're gonna have these bases, and weird shit happens there, and but then it gets really weird.
Yeah, that's why this is taking a pivot, but this is a horror video game.
Oh.
Speaking, which also takes the through line of the underwater thing. This is an underwater horror game. However, none of the fear has anything to do with the fact that you're underwater and could die any moment if something turns wrong, It's entirely unrelated to that. And it's made clear very quickly that you could just go outside if you need to. So whatever.
Are you going to mention Crash Bandicoot 2? Is that what you're about to say?
No.
Classic horror game.
Mike, what is this video game she's talking about?
I played that and it does not have a submarine. Excuse me.
I believe it does have a submarine level, but
does it?
We can agree to disagree.
Clearly, she's talking about Echo the Dolphin.
Yes.
Sega Genesis.
I only associate that with that. What's his name from AGDQ? The one guy who always runs that game. Oh,
I have no idea.
Ignore me. What was I talking about? Oh,
a video game underwater.
Soma.
Oh yeah, Soma's spooky as fuck.
At no point during Soma is there really like a core fear that like, oh, you're gonna die from the water. Like you're not. You might die from other things, and it's still survival horror. But because being underwater is almost incidental. It's more just like to drive home the isolation.
Yeah. Well, that's done by the same guys who did Amnesia: Dark Descent, right? So it's like it's like it's the same team. So it's like take all of the things that they did really well and then put it in an environment where it's spooky which is, underwater.
So that was good, but almost all of any horror film set in space or set underwater, there's a reason that is central to the plot and both going to make me very, very uncomfortable. Where I'm just like, oh no, the fear of drowning is tremendous. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. So those types of horrors I don't like. I like my, I guess, favorite subgenre of horror is very much, like I said, like the Squid Game type thing where it's game related. I think there's one that came out on Netflix that's suspense/horror called Would You Rather? I think it's Would You
Rather. Yeah, I remember that.
Is that the one with, oh my God, the girl from
the TV series 2021?
No, probably not. Damn it. Brittany Snow is in it.
I don't know. There's a 2012 film, Would You Rather?
That might be it.
Desperate to help her ailing brother, a young woman unknowingly agrees to compete in a deadly game of Would You Rather, hosted by a sadistic aristocrat.
Yeah, it's always, all these movies are like, rich people like to watch poor people fight to the death.
Sasha Grey's in it.
I don't remember who that is. I remember Brittany Snow, but I don't remember.
Brad, do you know who Sasha Grey is?
I do.
And that
she reads children's stories at the library. She
does.
She has a very good Twitter account.
She does have a good Twitter
Also,
account.
She used to do quite a lot of porn.
She did a lot of porn at one point, yes.
Oh, I'm like, they're joking with each other, and I'm just kidding.
No, I just
she does a lot of like educational stuff these days. I hear. I don't know. I don't keep.
It's just literally Brad and I being like, oh. There we are.
It's like recognizing.
Does she have a good filmography in the pornography industry?
She does. She worked very, very hard for the few years that she.
We are pro sex work.
Yes,
absolutely.
Very, very.
So we support a queen getting that bag.
Yeah.
Oh, and Robin Lord Taylor, the guy that plays the Riddler, the Penguin in Gotham, is in this too as well.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a great cast in this movie.
It's hokey, but like a lot of fun. And scary or suspenseful and interesting in a way that I very much enjoy.
Nice.
And I would like Saw, before, like the first Saw.
Yeah.
Anything kind of along those lines. There's a suspense film called, it's like 13 Game of Death. I think I'm going to mention
13 Game of Death. Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
I think it's a Vietnamese film originally. They remade it in the US, but it's bad. I don't like it as much anyway. Stuff like that I find really interesting, which is why I knew I would probably like Squid Game, and I should just go watch it. It's the premise you find interesting. That's the type of horror stuff I really like. But I think my top 3 I put actually don't really follow that. So number 1 is The Thing, just because so cool. Like the stuff it does is so cool and unique. And each iteration is so good. Like I didn't watch The Thing until I was an adult. So it didn't scare me on the same level as it would have if I had when I was younger. So I was able to, mostly of the time, I'm just like, that's so fucking cool. Like I just thought it was awesome, So, and yeah, genuinely like, the artistry that went into all of that was awesome. So I had to put that there. And then the other 2 are ones that kind of hit me. One is truly terrifying, but in the humans are the real monsters kind of way. very
tends to
literally.
be the angle that I go for too. Like some human, like capitalism is the actual evil, or people are just terrible.
Yeah,
as opposed to like a weird supernatural thing or something.
Or it can be both, but like
it can be both.
So The Mist.
The Mist, yeah.
I have never been more devastated.
Yeah, man, that end of that movie sucks. The end of that movie.
No, it's great. It's great because he's logical through the whole movie. That's the whole point. You are with him, the side of this is ridiculous. You see the true like evil that can come out of someone trying to be righteous and like a lot of religious stuff and like people losing their minds. It took like a day for them to break down. And they're in a grocery store where it's not like they're running out of food or water or anything. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't been that long. And you're with him and you're like, if you get to the end of that film where they're at, where they drive, they find his wife has died. Then they just drive and then they run out of gas and the mist is just still there. They drove for hours. In your mind watching, you'd be like, I'd probably just do this. He does what you think. So to then be just, you know what I mean? Like that, first of all, got me. Dang.
Let's pause for a minute. Let's pause. Brad, have you seen The Mist?
It's been a long time, but yes.
Okay, so let's ask the chat because I think it's worth us talking about the end of The Mist. And if people don't want it to be spoiled, we won't. But like, chat, if you want us to talk about the end of The Mist, we will. Because it's worth talking about. Because I loved The Mist up until the end, and then I was like, "Fuck you, Stephen King."
I loved it even more because of that. At first, I was like devastated because, of course.
Sure.
But then I was like, this is actually the fact that I've never been devastated by film.
Sure. I would say I hated the ending, but I appreciate that it is the way that it is.
I didn't like it at first because I was like, oh my God, but I realized like the reason I didn't like it was because of how affected I was by it. But like how truly like awful it made me feel. As though it had happened,
It doesn't help that Stephen King can't finish an idea. He comes up with ideas, but he doesn't know what to end them on.
We can add him to the list with Kojima.
I mean, I guess. Sort of.
I wanted to bring up this book that I'm reading of all of Kojima's essays is so good. It is so good. I'm gonna bring it and I'm gonna read some of the batshit stuff that he says.
No,
and it is.
Gonna need a couple more.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask Brad real quick. Because Brad, I feel like has on the pan side, Brad has really excellent taste in things, and I'm very curious what Brad's taste in panned horror movies is.
I mean, one of the all-time classic terrible horror movies, Manos, Hands of Fate, right?
Absolutely.
Gotta love it. Way more recent one, Lamageddon, is excellent as far as just terrible horror.
Brad, can we pull up the trailer for Lamageddon that Caroline can see it?
I'm sure find
worth watching.
An Armageddon of llamas? Am I reading
one,
that?
really. Well, I mean,
a single llama. Okay.
I'll pull it.
Hardworking llama.
Yeah. A space llama.
Oh shit.
Is it gonna go? Oh yeah, okay.
Is llamaratings.com still live? I would like to know that.
I don't know if we have audio, Brad.
No audio?
I can hear it. It's just faint.
There is a world unlike.
Hold on. Yeah, the audio is maxed out. Just try that again.
Try it again.
In a world
Any better?
within our world.
I think so.
There is a world unlike any other world. When Earth and space collide.
Something wrong with that fucking llama.
It's so terrible, but great.
Explosive. It will get messy.
Is this self-aware or no?
Mostly.
Okay.
Dangerous.
Look out!
You can run, but you cannot hide.
Many of our friends have perished.
The greatest movie in the world.
We will avenge them, and we will win this wrestle between Earth and space.
Llamageddon.
So yeah, it's just ridiculous nonsense that it's so bad, but it's great. I love that type of just nonsense movies. And of course, the all-time most terrible horror movie, Home Alone.
No.
Mm.
But a young psychopath boy who terrorizes two hardworking, blue-collar
Career men.
Exactly. I think we might actually need to watch the trailer for that as well. I think I've got it here. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure some people might remember it a little differently, but
Play the game. Who won't appreciate life do not deserve life. Cancer isn't what started me at my work. I love you. There will be blood.
Everyone in this family hates me.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
What is the matter with you? I'm not an idiot. Oh, really? You're completely helpless. Everyone get treated like scum. Everyone has to do everything for you.
Somebody pick up.
Didn't we talk about that?
I well done.
So. You're such a disease.
Third floor? I'm sorry. It's too late.
How you feel about your family is a complicated thing. And you can hurt them, and they can hurt you.
I'm old enough to know how it works. I don't want to see you again for the rest of my whole life. Do you think he's flipped out? Are you here all by yourself? Man, I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
It cost me everything I own. If I have to sell my soul to the devil himself.
I don't want a new family. I don't want any family.
Has a child been involved in a violent altercation with a drunken and/or mentally ill member of his immediate family?
There you go.
Maybe committed suicide.
We'll send a policeman over to your house to check on your son.
I'd like a word with you, sir.
Am I under arrest or something?
We're just checking the neighborhood to see if everyone's taking proper precautions, that's all.
South Bend shovel slam. That's him. Back in '58, murdered his whole family and half the people on the block. They never found the bodies.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
That is amazing.
just a classic horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Now,
God.
there's another classic horror. Brad, I want to show you another classic horror that I don't feel like enough people talk about as well.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Hello?
It's terrifying.
I'm calling in regards to the ad I read in the paper. For the past 15 years, I have worked for the Smythe family of Elbourne, England. I did house cleaning, cooking, and took care of their 4 glorious children.
Would you mind coming on an interview, say, Monday night at 7:30?
Oh, I'd love to, dear.
Well, I look forward to meeting you.
Ta-ta. Showtime.
Not
creepy
at all.
So scary.
You need to be with children. And I'll do anything to do that. Listen, I would do anything. I just want to be with him. You know, I need that. So please, don't take kids away from me.
And these must be the cherubs.
Why would you want Mommy to die?
We love each other. We love each other. Don't we?
Remind me of someone.
Really? Who?
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Liddy, come on. Oh, my gosh. We gotta dial 911 now. Why? This is Southfire.
Ugh. That trailer still gives me the creeps.
I've never seen these before. These are amazing.
I believe that's the prequel to 1 Hour Photo.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
1 Hour Photo was creepy, actually.
It's super creepy.
It's not a horror film, though, right? Suspense, I guess.
I get, yeah. It's
Thriller.
just really creepy.
Yeah. I'm glad he did stuff like that occasionally.
Yeah.
You could really see more of his range.
Yeah. Ugh. So, Brett, what are some of your favorite horror movies? What are horror movies that you absolutely love and enjoy?
Like probably, I think the first one, probably one of the first ones anyway, Child's Play.
Child's Play, yeah.
That I'd seen, that I convinced my grandmother to rent for me and my sister when I was at 7 or whenever that came out.
Oh my God.
The first apartment I ever lived in Chicago was the building that Child's Play is sort of based on. And it's actually Charlie Chaplin's Charlie Chaplin's essentially the building that he owned and operated. And he owned the first, like the top 3 floors. Yeah, it's crazy. When we moved in, I moved in that, never seen it before. And I was like, holy fuck me. This is the Child's Play house. This is terrifying. I don't want to live here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was the other one?
Why do you like Child's Play so much?
I don't know. It's just I think the part that I remember freaking me out the most as a kid was the voodoo doll where all of the dude's bones are breaking. Just for whatever reason, things can get as gross, so whatever, and it doesn't generally bother me. But the visceral sound of bones snapping really hits a certain spot in my brain for whatever reason.
Okay, Brad doesn't like bones being snapped. He's a Bones Day guy, not a no Bones Day guy. I get it.
Got to be a Bones Day. Yeah, I don't know. Just like it was creepy.
Mm-hmm.
In
it
a
is
way,
creepy. It holds up too. It's fucking Chucky's terrifying.
The new one was very strange.
Yeah, Mark Hamill in that role is weird. I don't understand that choice.
Is he the voice?
He's the voice, yeah.
I mean, he's a pretty good voice actor, and he does voices that are insane all the time.
He's a great Joker. He does all kinds of great voice stuff.
He's like
it was just weird.
Half the characters on Metalocalypse.
No.
Yeah, stuff like that. The Changeling was another one that, for whatever reason, freaked me out when I was a kid. It's a slow. I don't remember it being very exciting. I just remember it being terrifying as a child.
George C. Scott. Oh God.
Yeah, it's just like a haunted house deal. You know, it's psychological more than anything else.
Boy, this is like a who's.
And of course, Little Monsters. Totally
Monsters,
creepy.
yeah.
Totally frightening. But mostly because I convinced my sister that that was how the real world worked. And then
Really?
and then I had to go upstairs with her anytime she needed to go upstairs alone because my parents used that as the punishment for me scaring the crap out of her.
I would do that too. Bryce is going through a scared phase, and I hate it. It's just like, I'm not following you everywhere around this house. I love you. I will be right here. I can see you. I believe in you.
So that was my punishment. I was her protector for a while when she was scared randomly. Thankfully, it didn't last very long.
It's traumatizing your poor sister.
But most of the horror stuff I like are more like existential stuff. Your Black Mirror, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, the fear is more theoretical or psychological rather than like a slasher deal.
There were a couple episodes. I feel like Black Mirror cannot help but be ham-fisted. Like they just can't.
Yeah,
it's
It
just
had good episodes and bad episodes. I'm just saying, like that direction of thing is more.
Because like the social media one, where you can score people.
Well, no. You gotta look at the UK Black Mirror. The UK Black Mirror, the original couple of seasons of the Black Mirror. Like that's the classic. Truly horrific. A man fucking a pig. Like that's the Black Mirror I want.
Oh, like the first couple seasons, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was better. There were some, even the episodes that people say that they liked. I don't know, like the one with the robot dogs. That was probably pretty good.
Yeah, the robot dogs one, the crocodile tears one about the it's like the Icelandic couple who accidentally hits the cyclist, and then years later, all the things that she ends up having. That one was horrifying. It's horrifying. I watched that one. I was like, no, I'm good.
As it kept going and and stuff kept happening, I started being like more and more. And then the very end, when it's like the last thing she does, you're just like, no, it was too real. Like, again, like it's in that, no, I can see that. You know what I mean? Like if a wound is too visceral on screen, you're like, because it's too close. That episode was too close.
See, the grossness of that stuff never bothers me, but like the reasoning behind like people's behaviors and stuff is disturbing to me. That kind of stuff. Yeah. It's like it's not really horror, I guess, sort of, but years and years. Either of you see that? It's sort of like political future horror. But there's a lot of like sort of cyberpunk things and political dystopia things.
I don't know years and years.
It's actually really damn good. I think you would enjoy it very much, but it creeped me the hell out because it would go in a very dystopian direction, but in such a believable, like, this could happen tomorrow if like 3 politicians got together and made a certain decision. Like, super.
Oh, it's creepy. Russell T Davies? Interesting. Oh, that's great then.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's only like 6 or 7 episodes too. It's like short. At each episode, they go like, I think it's 10-year leaps with each episode, something like that. A big chunk of time. Very cool.
Where is it?
Very disturbing.
It's a BBC show.
Oh, okay.
And Russell T Davies was one of the guys who redid Doctor Who. He was the first Doctor Who director that way. So.
My favorite season was
exactly yeah. So I think it's like if we're looking at this, it's like he 2019. So this is after he does Doctor Who, but
Eccleston for life.
Fun stuff. So, Caroline, The Thing is on your list. What else?
The Mist.
The Mist, yes. Third?
And the third one is Suspiria.
Oh,
2018.
Not sure I'm familiar with that one.
I was not either, and it is a remake of the original Suspiria.
Yeah.
And it stars the girl from 50 Shades of Grey, whose name I'm blanking on, but I actually Dakota
Fanning. Right?
No.
I don't know. Dakota
Johnson.
sounds right, but I
Dakota
couldn't.
Johnson.
That sounds. I don't know. Very
Dakota Johnson. Yes. Donna Johnson's daughter.
She's the star.
Yes.
And they went a different direction with it, but also like Tilda Swinton's in it playing two different characters, one of whom is male.
Okay.
And it's just amazing. It's visually stunning the same way Dakota Johnson does an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
At this very particular scene where she does this very ridiculous dance, and someone dies in a very, kind of horrific way that it implies they're somehow related, and you're like, what? She did an amazing job for that. And then there are changes in the plot that I really like, both because I like that ending more, and also because it feels intentional for the people who saw the first Suspiria, and are familiar with the original. So I really liked it.
That's great. I'm gonna have
a lot
to watch
of
it.
reasons.
I did not watch the 2018 remake. I'll have to watch it though.
Righty.
Yeah, I really like those. Those are the ones I guess that have left, because like I really enjoy horror blanket, but then I try and think about the ones that I don't know, the ones that A, I'd rewatch, or B, have a significance in some way in terms of just the impression they left on me.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm definitely one of those people where like I think horror is my favorite genre, but I'm not actively like, oh, I'm going to watch a horror movie. But if there's like a new horror movie that's in theaters, or if I'm just like in a mood to watch a movie, horror is usually where I go to first.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not. I generally don't watch that many horror movies, which is why everything on my list is super old, except Lamageddon, I guess, but that really counts.
Well, you should watch The Ward.
I will.
Maybe we should all watch The Ward together and just be like, cringe. That trailer,
like
man, I bet The Ward is actually a lot better than that trailer. That trailer is cringy.
The screaming, but there's nothing there. I'm like, what are this? Who made this?
Double feature, The Ward and Lamageddon. We need to do this.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Oh. I was wondering if there should be like a separate category for horror comedies, because they're just not scary to the same extent most of the time.
Yeah, like Shaun of the Dead is a really great horror comedy movie, but that's in a comedy. Like I think horror comedy is more comedy with a horror subgenre.
Yeah, so like you've got your Cabin in the Woods.
Like Dawn of the Dead kind of has a little bit of comedy in it.
I almost had Dawn of the Dead on my list, but I realized for my panned ones, because I don't think people liked it.
No.
But I really liked it. And I think that had more to do with just the camaraderie kind of throughout, and the idea of I was in college when it came out. Like very much this would be fun vibes, you know?
Like when Zack Snyder knew how to make a movie, you know?
Shots fired.
Everyone knows what the deal is with Zack Snyder. Though I heard the Snyder cut is actually better.
I'm not going to watch a 4-hour Justice League.
No,
I'm not going to watch a 4-hour Justice League.
I think I did finally watch Justice League like on a plane.
I will say I enjoyed the Snyder cut more.
I watched a review.
I didn't enjoy it, but I liked it more. Also, I was incredibly high the entire time, so
that helped. Like you should have liked it more.
You would have thought.
Yeah,
it was fine. It was too long by about 3 hours. But it was
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was on an 18-hour flight to Hong Kong, and I could have watched Justice League, and I chose not to. There and back, and I chose no, I don't want to. I would rather do anything but that in this flight.
Fair.
This is semi-related, but Ezra Miller will always have
he's just
I like him. I like him a lot. He physically reminds me of my high school boyfriend.
That's complicated.
I will remind you that he is not currently alive. So
yes.
That every time I see him, I'm just like.
Well, now I'm never gonna not see him that way.
Right.
But then I'm, he's charismatic the same way. Like the jawline is the same hair color, same general features, but Ben's face was thinner. Because Ben was Russian, and it seems like Ezra Miller has something in there. And yeah, just like the way he speaks, and there are a lot of things about him that I really could not and that brings up another thing if you think about horror, whether this counts, but we need to talk about Kevin is a truly terrifying film.
I love when you talk about Kevin. It's
terrifying film.
Terrifying.
I don't know if
I ever watched that one.
John C. Reilly in that Until This Went in those put those two in any movie and it's going to be amazing. And then
Ezra Miller, and he does a really good job, terrifyingly good.
It is interesting when Tilda Swinton is not the weirdest person in a movie. When Tilda Swinton is the straight person in the movie, you're like, this movie is fucked up.
I'm sold.
Shockingly straight role for Tilda Swinton, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like when she's playing against John C. Reilly, who is everything's fine. What are you talking about? What's going on? He's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the one part of Justice League that I was I will watch Ezra Miller. Yes. I don't care. I'm happy for him, even if they're not really doing anything with him in this.
Well, I mean, the Flash trailer dropped last week, and that'll be interesting.
I don't know what it is. I never care about previews or I'm just I'll watch it when I see it.
I'm never going to watch these movies. I said the same thing before. I was I was talking to people and they're like, I don't know if I'm going to watch Dune. I'm like, watch the trailer. That's the movie. There's nothing in the movie that doesn't happen in the trailer. Which I'm like, oh, there you go. So,
Zack Snyder.
Are you guys familiar with the film The Lobster?
Yes.
Sure, yes.
Is The Lobster...
I also watched it on the plane.
Yes.
Existentially.
Is The Lobster a horror movie? Or is The Lobster a romance?
Yes, and?
Yes, and.
I guess it is, yeah.
I love The Lobster, and I argue that
of course you do.
I love The Lobster. And the same way when people say, oh, American Psycho is my favorite horror movie, I'm like, American Psycho is not a horror movie. It's a comedy.
No.
It's a comedy. What are you talking about?
I love American Psycho.
It's not a horror movie.
It's a great movie. But
it's a great movie. It's not a horror movie.
It came on TV. Literally, I saw it I was 25. And it came on. And I was like, oh, yeah, I heard this is, this terrible slasher. And I'm watching it. And I'm like, this is so good. This is so fun. The
funny.
Reese Witherspoon. Yeah. Excuse me. I was not prepared. And the conversations they have, he tries to break up with her and she's like, I don't think it's gonna work. We have all the same friends. The way she
I have
says
to
it,
go return some videotapes. That's how he ends the conversation.
And
then
I say that all the time to people. I'm like, I have to go return some videotapes. Nobody catches it. Nobody catches it at all.
The card scene, just
so good. So good.
Good.
Yeah.
Huey Lewis in the News. It's and what's his name from Office Space is in it. Yeah. It's just great.
It's so good.
Just great. Oh, phenomenal film. I don't know if that's horror. I guess it's a slasher, right?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I wouldn't call it horror, but
it's not horror. I do not
the
think
tone is not horror at all.
Horror, Jaws is horror. like, you know, there can be so much stuff that's in horror, but American Psycho is too on the nose to be horror. I think it's
too meta.
It's too meta, which I think is why it's a comedy, which is also why I think The Lobster is a horror movie, but no one's willing to agree with me that, like,
I don't know. I didn't have any sense. I had a sense of dread.
Yeah.
But that was almost more to do with the society as a whole.
Yeah.
Like,
sure. That world is terrifying.
I felt going through that world the way I feel, an icky version of the way I feel watching a Wes Anderson film. Someone is holding my hand and taking me through a thing, and I'm just trying to keep up.
Sure. This is a very specific aesthetic of a thing that I'm walking you through. This time
I am getting expositioned, like a lot of exposition used in not like a bad way, but it is. And you're just trying to, and then this next thing, and things just keep happening. And there's no one thing where you're like, here's the one weird thing that happened. No, it just keeps
going.
It just keeps going. And so you don't have time to process any of it. That's how I felt watching The Lobster. That's how I feel watching Wes Anderson. It's a constant stream that I don't have a chance to come up for air.
Yeah.
I'm just going.
There's a level of like magical realism in both of those directors.
Like,
style.
Okay. Everyone has to be in a couple. Oh, okay. That society, it's like the way they dress, the way they talk, the way people interact in general. Okay, now we're at a hotel. Oh no, it's a retreat. It's a matchmaking. But then where do kids go? Like, what age do you have to come here? Do you get a leeway of time between? Nope, no time. Got time to go hunt down people in the woods. What? Well, you find out if you both hop on one foot at night together. Like, what? It just keeps going. And now there's an anti-group, and now they're part of.
Yeah.
But then he faked it on
once
the one
they get
chick.
into the woods. The movie, like I remember watching the movie the first time. I was like, all right, then they're in the woods, and then they get to the woods, and I'm like, fuck me. I'll go back. I'd rather live in that society than the woods society.
While I was very upset by a whole bunch of stuff about the universe in a good way, in a way where I'm like, I find this interesting in a kind of way. It did not feel like I was watching a horror film.
Okay.
Is how I would answer.
Well,
it can be upsetting.
I'll give you my 3 favorite horrors. The Shining, not a surprise to anyone.
Sure.
The Fly, not a surprise to anyone.
Fly is really good.
The Fly is really good.
Though.
It's really, really good. And I love Let the Right One In. Let the Right One In is a beautiful.
I have seen Let the Right One In.
So
I've seen that.
It is Swedish. We're not going to talk about what they are, but it's similar in terms of what we were talking about before. But it's about again, it's about those types of things, and it's about it's all about the rules of those things.
Okay. All right, I can get behind it.
It's very, very good, but it's also about what happens if you were Brad. I think you will enjoy it in some ways. I know I enjoyed it because I was once a lonely, awkward child, and I wanted a young person to come and be my friend.
Doesn't seem relatable to me at all, Kellen. I don't know why you would bring that up. That's weird.
It's really great. I watched Let the Light Run In. I went to in Eugene, there was a cinema place called the Bijou, and I went to the movie, and I would just go to whatever movie was open. I didn't know what it was, and I went and saw that movie by myself. I had no idea what I was walking into, and it still is one of my favorite horror movies because of that experience. And it's also a great movie. So,
yeah, it's horror, but it also doesn't feel like horror. Like
no,
but it I would say objectively is horror. Like that's fine. But when you watch it, like the way it twists around some of the character usage and the dynamics and plays into something that I very much enjoyed could be like, yeah, like if we were talking this out and drunk at a party, we could come up with this scenario happening. Okay. Because but what would happen for real if this happened? Like, yeah, that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense. It connected with back to the beginning. When you see the ending, then you're like, oh, now I know with the dad or whatever, you know, like it was just, but it felt, there's some really beautiful scenery and kind of scenes because it's Norway.
Sweden, I think.
Sweden in the winter. And it's just like they really play with that.
Yeah.
And in a way I really liked.
I don't watch it. Jeez. Yeah. You should only watch this movie in the wintertime at night. Like it is one of those
well,
movies
we're coming
like,
up on that time of year. So
yeah.
Perfect.
This is not a movie. It's June. Let's watch it. It's like, it's not going to work. Like it should be dark and it should be cold wherever you are watching this.
Brad, it was 88 degrees outside today.
I hate it so much.
But I hate it, but I don't hate it more than winters up north. So,
well, before we escape, do we want to watch a silly video?
Of course we do, Brad.
Always.
Of course we do.
It's not exactly on theme, a little bit, but
I'm just proud that we did the thing for the most part that we said
we did. We did it.
We did
what we said we were going to do. We kind of stuck on topic.
We did it. Hooray.
Oh, all right.
Oh my gosh. What is happening?
Oh, yes.
Is this going to go? Oh, it's not. It died.
Oh, and it
come
died.
back. Come back, YouTube. Doesn't want to come back. All right.
It doesn't love you anymore.
Let's try this again.
It wants to go live with mom now.
Right. But yeah, this isn't exactly new. It's definitely a classic.
What would you like for breakfast, Johnny? Muffins! That's right. At Cunningham Muffins, we know that muffins make the best breakfast. So why not try all of our exciting new flavors? Raspberry, cranberry, apples, cinnamon, pecan, pumpkin, nut, date nut, lemon poppy seed muffin, banana, orange, peach, strawberry, blueberry, boysenberry, almond, choco chip, carrot, gooseberry, pumpernickel, fish, paper, bird, shampoo, Star Wars muffin, bullfrog, crickets, cigarette, Israeli-Palestinian conflict muffin, bits of glass muffin. Oh, asbestos. I'm baking muffins as best as I can. Ah! Monkey, Al Jarreau muffin, elephant, pencil, newspaper, fire, imaginary muffin, cartoon muffin, blood. What muffin would you like for breakfast, Johnny? I lost my appetite. You'll eat a muffin. You'll eat it and like it. So try all of our delicious Cunningham muffins at Cunningham Muffins.
Amazing. Excellent.
Man, back when YouTube was cool.
Right?
Why? What?
I'm old. I remember when YouTube wasn't owned by Google.
Oh, God,
People would just do weird shit. Are we all going to dry shampoo our hair now?
No, I washed mine today. Won't you listen?
You're not really old unless you remember when you could change your YouTube page like you could with MySpace and just add ridiculous nonsense to the background.
I didn't even join
terrible.
Facebook until I was out of college.
Okay.
I
Right.
resisted
Well, there you
MySpace
go.
entirely.
I guess you're much cooler than us, Caroline.
So cool.
Doing really important things like finding ways to get J-pop CDs because you couldn't get them. You couldn't get the MP3s.
So cool.
MP3s were like newish. So there was literally a website called YesAsia.com.
Yes, Asia.
And they would send it to me and it would take like a month.
That's amazing.
And I had to get a physical album because I couldn't get the MP3s.
All right. Well, Jeremy just showed up, so we have to end the stream. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Jeremy's here was all wrong. Sorry, party's over, y'all.
So, see you next week, everybody.
Bye.
This was whatever it was. Good times.